Welcome to another edition of All Octaves with me, Val KLEINHANS, where we chat with music fans and the musicians who make the music we love. Today, in fact, a music journalist for a change. That is why I wanted her on, because these are the perspectives that we want to hear on All Octaves. Baylee Avery is here. Baylee is a music journalist. She's a rock and metal fan as well, just like myself. Baylee, thank you for being here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be here.
I know. So, who in music? Let's just start right off the bat. Who in music are you obsessed with right now?
Oh God, I have so many. It's hard to name just one at the top of my head because
You
I have
can
so many.
name as many as you want. Go for it.
Okay, so one that I'm thinking of right now that I've been obsessed with for a few months. I found out about her when I was in Austin back in March. Her name is Katie Tupin.
Hmm.
She used to be in the band Houndmouth, and she done she was performing at this little saloon at this saloon in Austin when I was
Oh,
not when I was there, and she blew me away. She filled up the room fast. I was like the biggest crowd I had seen because I saw so many bands on a certain day in Austin, and she
cool.
filled up the room and was the biggest crowd I had seen all day that day. So that's one of the ones that I am super into right now. Yeah, like I said, there's just so many. I can't really like name just not name one at the top of my head other than the one I just named.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a start. That's a start right now.
Yeah, it is. So for you mentioned her name was Katie Toch Pin?
Tupin,
Katie
yes,
Tupin. So it sounded like when you were describing seeing her that the crowd just kind of grew and grew as she was performing. Is that what happened?
yes.
Oh,
So
what
no, no.
was
So
going
I guess
on?
so it was South by Southwest, and so I went there for one day just to watch this band that I'm friends with perform. They were performing at like a few places around Sixth Street, and so there were quite a few other bands and artists that I had found out about that day, but and like and everyone kind of like crowded around in this room in the saloon just for this artist Katie Tupin, and like I had never heard of her until that day, and I was just standing there like looking around, kind of like, oh my god.
I love
And
it when music has that effect on people.
oh, I know, and I got to be her muse during her set, which was another fun thing.
Oh, I love. What happened? What'd you get to do?
I didn't really get to do anything. All I did was just like stand there, just like enjoying the music, just kind of like dancing along. And I think she was
Mhm.
like a few songs in, and she started like pointing her hand towards me as she was singing and looking at me, and I'm just like, oh, okay. And then I didn't know what to make of it. And at the end, she just comes up to me like before I even say hi or anything. She's just like, "Thank you for being my muse. You're just so pretty, so I wanted you to be my muse."
Oh, I love it. Well, that's how to work a crowd. It's like focus on who's really enjoying it, welcome them, open the space to them. That's how I think any musician really should do it.
Oh
Period.
yeah, I agree.
I love that so much. Do you remember the moment when you first fell in love with music, just in general?
Um, Not necessarily, because I mean I've been pretty much been in love with music my entire life. But one story that I have always heard from my mom and my cousin specifically,
Mhm.
my first favorite band, I was around a year or two old, was the Bee Gees. And
Nice.
yeah, and I was obsessed with the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack at that age. I just demanded everyone to play it for me again and again and again. and and I don't even remember this, but my mom said that by the time I was around like 9 years old or so, I learned how to work the boombox we had on my own without any help at all. So I yeah. So
Wow.
so it just kind of went from there. And and even when I was little, I always knew like what music I liked and what music I didn't like. My mom, another thing my mom always tells me, so we'd be in the car, like she'd be playing like Beyonce or Jennifer Lopez on the radio because it was the early
Yes.
2000s.
Yes.
And
The era.
yes, and she said that I would cry whenever she played play them. Yeah.
Oh, it just meant that much to you. That's hysterical.
No, 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 I didn't mean anything to me. I'd cry because I didn't like the music.
Oh, okay, I'm getting it now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't get apparently like I didn't care for it that much. So I just like
Okay.
cry until she like put on something else.
Oh my god, that's funny. How do you feel about like J-Lo today? Still not your thing?
I like some of her songs, and no, but just real like still really not that still not my cup of tea, but I don't cry when listening to her anymore.
But yeah, we can handle it a little bit better than maybe when we
Yeah.
were toddlers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
fully feel you on this. So one of the things that I definitely connected with you on when I found you on Instagram was the fact that you are a music journalist, and the passion for journalism is what, you know, what piqued your interest first, I guess I'll say. For
Yeah.
me, that's the entire reason that I did radio, period. I mean, I'm podcasting for fun now. It's not my 9 to 5. Hopefully someday, fingers crossed. But before, I did radio for like 7.5 years, and I was always told that I had a really nice voice and I was a music fan. I grew up on like a bunch of like that 90s R&B from my mom, and then my dad had a bit of classic rock going on, and there was this fusion happening. So music was always around my house, and I always loved music, period. And then we
Yeah.
had the hip hop, then we had like the Jay-Z, the Nas, like the East Coast hip hop that was coming from, from New York to Pittsburgh, where I was. And there's just all these sounds. And I'm like, wow, I love this. What job can I do that lets me combine talent for speaking and a love of music? I watched Almost Famous, and I'm sure you've seen that movie
Yes.
too. I
Yes.
watched
Yes. Yes.
I was asking myself this question. I saw Almost Famous the movie, and I was like, that's fucking it. That is it. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a music journalist, and I want to play records, and I want to BS about music. This is what I want my life to be. I want to be William. Period.
Yes.
Like, I didn't want to be Penny Lane. Like, shout out to Penny. I love her style, but I didn't want to be
Yes.
her. I didn't want to be the groupie. I wanted to be the one that was actually doing the story, getting the story, writing with substance, and meeting people, and just hearing all these stories and collecting them and sharing them with the world. Tell me how you got interested in music journalism to begin with. Like, I'm feeling there's an Almost Famous vibe here too, but what was your
Yes.
story?
Yes. Almost Famous was actually it for me. I found out about Almost Famous when I was around 16 or 17. I would
Yeah,
see like I was an active like Tumblr user around that time because of course early 2010s, and
right.
so so I would see gifs from Almost Famous like all over my Tumblr feed, and I'd see the name, but I just never really like watched it at that point. And then when I was 17, finally got Netflix, and it was
Yeah.
on Netflix at the time. And my school we didn't have any homework on this particular day. Well, we never had homework, so I don't know why I just said that. So I went on there just on Netflix, just trying to find what I wanted to watch, and Almost
Mhm.
Famous kind of comes up, and so I was like, okay, I've been seeing gifts from this movie all over Tumblr, so why not finally give it a shot? And at that time, I knew I wanted to be a writer, but I didn't know like the kind of writer I wanted to be.
Oh, okay, got it.
And yeah, so no, so I started watching the movie, and halfway through, I was just like, okay, this is it. This is the kind of writer I want to be. I always loved music. I've been passionate about music all my life. So, and I've always loved, and I shouldn't say always loved writing, but I got interested in writing when I was around 11 and
Mm,
loved it from there on. So I was just like, why not combine the two things that I am passionate about in life?
mhm.
and try to make a career out of it in the future, because um there was a time where like I thought I just was like, like I'm gonna write books, I'm just gonna write
Mm,
books.
mhm, mhm.
uh, but then when like I said, when I found Almost Famous, I was like, okay, this is it,
We're
this
gonna write
is
about
it.
music.
Yes, I mean I haven't it's all happening tattoo, so
Aw, I love it. I'm looking at it now. It's on her arm. I love that. So I mean, in the movie, William sort of falls into that position with Rolling Stone. It sort of kind of like falls into his lap, and it's like the opportunity of a lifetime to go on tour and get these exclusive stories. What does it take today in today's world to get involved in music journalism?
Oh, that's a good question. For me, like how I got into music journalism, basically, I worked as a pop culture writer for like 5 or 6 months from the time I was like 22 until like till I was around 23. So just like in the last few months of me being 22 into
Mm-hmm.
23, and so I was looking for like first I was looking for paying music journalism jobs, but then I realized like that wasn't like there was none, and a lot of it
Yeah.
was like non-paying. So I was like, okay, I guess I can take anything. And for me, because I already had friends in the music industry, like my bandit boss Rebecca,
Mm-hmm.
she would not even before I joined bandit, she was helping me look for stuff. Like she was tagging me in posts on Instagram and of jobs that she was finding, and I was just like, thank you so much. And then she posted about her looking for contributors for bandit, so I went right ahead and just did that. So I'd say for today's world, like it's good to keep like a good like networking connection with people who are already in the music industry or are already music journalists, because
Okay.
that's a good way to help you get your foot in the door and get to where you want to be in music journalism. I mean, now like I have aspiring music journalists who message me asking me like, how do I start off as a music journalist? And I just tell them the same thing. You gotta connect and find anything that is looking for new writers, and even if it's
Mm-hmm.
not paying, it will still it will look good on your resume, and
Mm-hmm.
help you get to where you want to be in the music industry.
Yeah, and it sounds like you did a little bit of networking on social media, and it
Yes.
sounds like I've always had this thought, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. What I'll do when I think I have like a really cool interview on one of these podcasts, I'll just fucking submit it to like something like a Loudwire or Metal Injection or something, some sort of music journalism publication. I'll just say, hey, I have something here. Do with it what you want. You're more than welcome to. This is the link. do you Does it take putting yourself out there and maybe trying to get published to help with that trajectory too?
Yeah, it definitely does. You know, because of what I've learned, like I mean, I used to like in general, I'm a fairly shy person. So for a while, the idea of putting myself out there was something that was terrifying to me.
Yeah.
But then I kind of realized I'm never going to get to where I want to be if I don't put myself out there and take these risks.
Mm.
So that's just enough. So I pretty much been doing been doing that same thing for about almost 3 years now, and so I think it's definitely it definitely helps not to put yourself out there in any way possible.
Yeah, it's not much different than any other industry when you really think about
Yeah,
it. It's
yeah,
just
exactly.
doing that version of it in that realm and connecting with those specific people. Something else interesting that you talk about is what's called the fangirl to music industry pipeline. Now,
Yes.
so explain to me, what is that? What's the scoop on that?
So basically, what that is you basically like you spend like a chunk of your childhood, teenage years, whatever, fangirling over an artist that you love so much, and
Mhm.
then you shift that passion into music and to a job in the music industry. Like
Mm.
say for example, 10 years ago, some girl used to run. I'm just coming up with a prime example. This is not a
Yeah.
specific person, by the way. Some girl used to run a One Direction fan account, and then
Mhm.
they realized, oh, I have good marketing strategy, music wise, and what if I shift that into an actual career in the music industry?
Okay.
So yeah, so no, so then fast forward to not today. They work as a music industry professional in marketing and working with all with all these artists. It's just basically like a way to show that you can be a music fangirl and a music industry professional at the same time. And then
Yeah.
because the whole shtick about fangirls being viewed as, like crazy, obsessive, it just gets under my skin. It just gets under my skin. So
Yeah.
no. So I did an entire project based on fangirl in the music industry. I did that around a year ago. Well, I started in September of 2021. I spent 6 months working on it, and it definitely helped me out a lot. And it just made me want to learn more and more about all these fangirls and their stories. I mean,
Mhm.
there's one that I talked to. She she ran, I don't know if it's still running, but in the 2010s she ran one of the most popular Justin Bieber fan pages on Twitter, and now she works for I think marketing at MTV.
What? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So this whole project really, uh, uh, um, it's not this intentional thing set up by the music industry to like recruit, girls in a young age. That's not what this is. So
Right.
to clarify, what you're saying is this is your project, your thoughts that you want to share with the world or anybody else who's a music fan to say, hey, you don't have to give this up. If you love it so much, you can turn this into a professional endeavor and love it.
Yeah, yeah, because like how I started at I read this book called Fangirl Scenes from Modern Music Culture, and halfway through, and I was just thinking about my own fangirl experiences from high school, because I was a massive One Direction fan when I was in high school. I ran fan pages and everything, and I was just so insanely passionate about them. And so then I started thinking, like, you know what, I'm slowly realizing I was obsessed with One Direction. I have a career in the music industry, and that is pretty much part of the reason why I am here, and I'm here now. So I started thinking of like all my friends who I knew were all not also in that whole thing. And so I went on different Facebook groups, and I posted this thing saying, "Hey, I'm working on this project about the fangirl music industry pipeline. And if you're interested in participating, send me your story, or maybe we can set up a Zoom call at my email address. So, or you can message me on Instagram." And so I got I got so many emails. I got a lot of message requests now from people on this, and I was just like, okay, I was not expecting this kind of response. And
Yeah.
it was definitely such a fun like little learning experience, not from just having like all these women and their stories about their time as a fangirl, just and have that featured in my project. It was just so much fun learning about these people. And I met a really good friend of mine through this project, and I helped her create a nonprofit, and then like several months after this was published. So
Mhm.
so it was definitely fun to meet so many new people and just learn so much about them.
Yeah. It's almost like you wanted to build a sense of camaraderie among women in the music industry because at this point, I think it's still pretty male dominated for the
Oh
most
yeah,
part.
it definitely is.
I mean, it was when I was in radio. I've been out of it for a little bit, so I wasn't 100% sure. But so, and that also makes it a better environment to foster community instead of competition. Because women
Yeah.
can compete with each other, but not so much in the music industry. I don't know what it is, but I used to see that too. The women in the music industry actually watch each other's back, probably because we know how hard it was working with the men sometimes. Not all,
Yes, yeah.
not all of the men, but it's the men that were chauvinists, the men that are misogynists, the men that didn't want to hear a challenging question from a female. There's always one in the
Yeah.
room. Not all of them, but there's at least one. So you band together to get through that. It makes total sense. You mentioned something earlier. I think you said it was called Bandit. That they're a PR company, right?
Yeah, and Abandoned PR. It's a well-known PR agency and also also boutique as well.
Yeah.
So so there's a lot of us on there who are writers, photographers, all that. So I've been writing for them, writing like reviews and sometimes interviews. I don't do interviews that often because, like I said earlier, I am a pretty shy person, so that's just something I don't do as often. And so yeah, like I write reviews. I've written some personal essays as well, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've just done a lot, not just done a lot for Banded now over the last it's been almost 3 years since I joined. And um a lot of us, none it's 99% women, and we got
Oh,
probably like only 2 male staff writers on the team.
wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, given your experience in PR, what do you think a band can do today to really brand themselves and set themselves apart?
Oh, good question. I'm not really sure on them, honestly. I don't have that big of experience in NPR. I don't.
Mhm.
And I'm just a writer, but oh goodness. I don't know how to answer that, honestly.
That's okay too. Or you maybe the better way to phrase that would be like, what sticks out to you when you're just listening, looking on Spotify, browsing, whatever, and you've got music popping up? Like, what's something that'll grab your attention that you think somebody today is doing correctly?
I think production and music, and that's a big thing I pay attention to when it comes to
Mhm.
artists. I pay attention to the production. I don't like stuff that is way overproduced. So if I feel like they got a good amount of like right now production under sound,
Mhm.
and it just all sounds like, it just sounds natural and crisp, to me that's A
Mhm.
plus. It's A plus. Like not completely judging anyone who like does overproduce their music, but it's just, there's just something about overproduction that just kind of like makes my skin crawl almost.
It's almost well. See, that's how I feel about Falling in Reverse. To be honest, okay, I feel like
Yeah, I
Ronnie is insightful. I think he's a great writer, but all the music just sounds so digitized to me.
God,
Like you can hear that a computer is responsible for all of it, and it's like
yeah,
I want more instruments. I want more. You know what I mean? Like
yes,
I
yes, I
want
get it.
a little bit more of a raw sound to that. That is like I want to see people enjoying their instrument and I want to hear it because
Yeah,
people play their instruments the way they play them, not like anybody else. And I want to hear that and I want to explore that. Again, obviously Falling in Reverse is killing it right now. So what do I know? But to
yeah.
me, it's like it just sounds a little bit over digitized, and I would like a little bit more of a raw sound for sure. So it's nice to hear somebody else that wants more of that too.
Yeah, I do get that. I mean, I used to listen to Falling Reverse when I was in middle school, high school, and just listening to like the stuff that not from them that I used to listen to back then, I'm just kind of like, oh God.
It's a change. Then to
Yeah.
now, then to like what Ronnie's doing now, completely different. Like it is a little like I don't know that I could see today's Falling in Reverse on Warp Tour like we used to. I don't know that I
Yeah.
could if it were still around. It's so interesting. Uh, so because you're a rock and metal fan, I wanted to ask this because this question always gets a hilarious response when it comes to debates. Do you think that rock today is dead? Because I constantly defend it and I get so tired of it. My opinion, absolutely not. You just have to look. Sleep Token is doing some really cool things now. Ghost has done some really cool things now. Like there is, and you know, I don't mind the recycling of the bands of 20, 30, and 40 years ago either. Like if they're
Yeah.
doing it well, let them continue to do it well too. What are your
Yes,
thoughts on that?
exactly.
What are your thoughts on
I
that? The scene overall.
Well, I definitely don't think rock is dead. I feel like now, it's definitely getting back to where it's starting to like get somewhat popularity. I mean, of course, you got Greta Van Fleet bringing back into hype for rock and roll, and another
Mhm.
band, Måneskin, as well, kind of bringing that in.
Yes, obsessed.
Yes, same here. Same here. Yeah, I definitely don't think rock is dead. I always tell people you just got to find that good touch of modern rock and roll, because there's just so many. I mean, I had that mindset for a while when I was a little bit younger, because I didn't really start getting into rock and roll until I was around 12, and so I couldn't really find anything that was just like sticking out to me. I mean, there were like more current bands at that time that I liked. Like I loved Kings of Leon and stuff
Mhm,
like that, but I wasn't really finding anything that was just like, like that felt so electrifying to me.
mhm.
And so it took me until I was around 20 to finally find that sound. And I was within Greta Van Fleet, and I started then I was just like, okay, I kind of want more bands of this similar aspect of today's generation. And so I started finding more and more, like I think of Tad Bryan and Shakedown, Lark and Poe, Spirit Box. No, all
Mm.
no. Yeah.
I love to see that. So, what's next for you? What are you looking forward to in your career or online? Anything? What can we look forward to coming from you?
Right now I don't have anything that's like gonna set in stone, just not set in stone just yet. I'm just in the right now. I kind of bit of writer's block, and so I'm just trying to come up with any idea to just to
Mhm.
publish and get out there. So I'm hoping soon I can at least get like at least more articles of not of this year, and maybe also find other new bands to discover and run and write about, and that way people can go and listen to them and hype them up in any way possible. So yeah, that's pretty much it right now.
Is that your favorite thing to write about? New music and to shine a light on new bands?
Yeah, that's my favorite thing to write about. I like to help give like new artists, especially like more smaller artists, attention.
Mhm.
That's something that I've been finding myself enjoying over the last few years.
Yeah, me too. I mean, both during my career in radio and even now, like I have no problem doing a full episode with a brand new band that doesn't even have 50 followers yet. I don't care. I just think it's interesting. And it's like, if we don't foster that, the scene doesn't grow. That's how
Yeah,
I've always seen it. So that was one of the reasons why I left radio. I was like, they only wanted to promote whatever was a sure thing at the time. Like
yeah, yeah,
whatever was successful, like even all genres. This isn't just a rock thing, it was all genres. It was country. They only wanted to focus on Jason Aldean because Jason Aldean was successful. Rock
oh god,
world, we're gonna play Metallica 5,000 times because we already know that they have a name.
and
And I love Metallica, but
you get a mix of a Metallica, Leonard Skinner,
right.
and yeah, and
Right.
on
And
a
there's
and
nothing wrong with those bands. I love those bands too. But
yeah,
how does the scene grow if we don't foster what is already out there? If we don't encourage what's up and coming? I don't know.
yeah,
I don't see a way to do it without that help.
yeah, no, yeah, exactly. When I was working as a pop culture writer, because I quite frankly I wasn't really interested in writing about pop culture at all at that time.
Mm.
Kind of I was on I actually discovered a band that I'm a really good friends with now. They're Pittsburgh based, by the way. So so I was in a small town called Apalachicola. It was I was on a family vacation there, and I
Mm.
was staying at this condo, and then right across the street was this live music dive bar. And
Oh, cool.
so I was just looking up. So I was trying to work on this little stupid article about an Ariana Grande TikTok trend that I would had no interest in. Yeah, no. I had no interest in it. I was like, this article is so fucking stupid. Oh my god. And
Yeah.
then and then sometime later, like I heard this music playing, and then I was trying to avoid, like, ignore it for like an hour, but then I, I felt like there was just something telling me to go
Turn
over to that,
around. Yeah.
yeah, go over to that bar. So I was like, you know what, fuck it, and then I just threw some clothes on, and then went right over there and saw this band. They're called the Living Street. They're a folk rock, no, rock duo,
Mhm.
and I was just amazed straight away. I was just like, oh my god, these guys are really good. And this is like right before not COVID took over, and so
Oh, okay.
yeah, so and I saw them. I was listening to their music almost nonstop after that, and I formed a friendship with them in the months to come because, of course, COVID couldn't really fly anywhere and go see them.
Mhm.
So, so that was something that was just kind of like, okay, this is really making me want to take a step forward and try and pursue my music journalism dreams. And so a few months later, I finally made that happen because, like, that night I was just like, God, I really want to write about this, but I cannot, but I can't because I'm not writing for like
Oh,
any
got it.
site, yeah, any site, because I wasn't writing for Banning at the time. I was writing for that pop culture website only. So I'm just sending like, I want to write about this and not that stupid Ariana Grande article I was writing earlier.
Well, I think I know the secret to getting out of that writer's block then. Go out and see a band. Just go
Yeah.
see what you find. Maybe that's all you got to do.
Oh yeah, yeah, because that really helped. Although I put off that stupid article for probably like another another week after that, and I just kept thinking of like all the things that I would want to write about seeing this band, and I was just thinking, God, I need to find something that will allow me to write about new artists like now,
Yeah, yeah,
like these guys,
yeah. Because not
and
every publication allows that. I learned that too. Like they
yeah,
don't always want that.
right,
Yeah,
and
it's tough.
yeah, it is.
But I appreciate what you're doing. I can't wait to see what comes next. It's nice to see somebody else, supporting the up and comers too. So shout out to you. Thank you so much for being here and thank you for your time, Baylee.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this.